We'll be looking at another concept in C# related to the object-oriented programming, and this is called as inheritance. The term itself is very self-explanatory. We all understand that we inherit traits from our parents. We inherit property from our parents. We may also inherit debts from our parents. So stuff like that. So inheritance is where one class is able to inherit some of the features and the actions from the parent class. And let us see why we even need this concept. Here is the person class that we looked earlier in the composition video. A person has first name, last name, and all these features. They also have a method called as, the person class has a method called intro. What about a student? A student is a person. A student is a person. Let me flip that arrow. A student is a person. So if a student is a person, then the student also has all these features that are available for a person and all these methods that are available for a person. On top of that, a student also has other unique things that defines who a student is, like for example, student ID, the school they go to. Oh. The school they attend, the date of enrollment, the date of enrollment, grade, GPA for the student, the date of last attendance, whether the student is an active student or if the student has taken a break. So these are some of the things that we can think of as a student. So these are unique to the student. It doesn't apply to every person. So all these are going to be unique to a student. And there could be methods that we can think of for a student. So it could be like calculate GPA. You could have an action like that. You could have an action like, is the student in good standing? So these are some methods that we can think of for a student. So the student class can inherit all these properties, all these guys from here. Along on top of that, they can also have all these in here. So that is the advantage of inheritance. So you're writing code once and reusing it again. Person class still remains as is. There's no change. A person is not a student. A student is a person. So it is always only one way. A student inherits from the person. The person does not have any idea what is inside the student class. Let's implement this example. So here's my demo code for week 12. I had earlier created person and address. Those are the two classes I have. Now I'm going to be creating a student class. When I say inheritance, this is where we define which class we are inheriting. You put a colon and you say person. So student inherits from the person class. So let us look at what is unique for the student. Let's create some auto-implemented properties. Remember that we only have to create what we don't already have. Whatever is in the person will be there for the student also. Student will have the um, all of these will be available for the student. These will all be available automatically. So we only have to create what is on this side, the ID, school. So these are the ones that we have to create right now. Just remember that we don't want to like be redundant in our code. So auto implemented properties, first one is ID. This has to be date time. Okay, so these are going to be the unique names of unique properties or fields for our students. Let us do some constructors. There's uniqueness about the constructor. So when you say public student, this is a no parameter constructor. So when you do this, you also have to call the base no parameter constructor. So what this does is it calls the base. When you say base, let's see if we can go into the base, go to definition, let's see. So it goes to person. So whenever you call the student constructor, automatically first this person constructor with no parameter will be executed. All of this will be done first. Then whatever code is down below here will get executed. So let's decide like what we want to do. Maybe we want to set ID equal to unassigned. GPA, let's set it to 0. Oh, instead of active, let's call the status. And then we can make the status as active or inactive depending upon other criteria. So this is the constructor with no arguments. Let's create one. Let's see, what do we have in the person? So we have one with the 3 arguments. What if somebody calls the student with first name, last name, and social security? So that's what we are doing here. So the 3 arguments are coming in, and all I'm doing is calling this base. That's it. So when you call the base, you're taking this name and putting it here. We are not creating anything new. That's why it's giving me an error right now. So you're taking, these are coming into the student constructor. You're passing them to the base constructor. with the 3 arguments. And then once this call is done, it'll come in here and execute all of this. Okay, the student also has the ID, GPA, and status. What if we want all of them? Then in that case, that'll be one with the 6 parameters. So maybe the student, we are getting the first name, last name, social security, then we are getting ID, student ID, then we are getting student GPA, then we are getting status. Let's say these 5 are coming in. So what we would do here is these are getting set inside the person constructor. So all we have to set is the other ones. So let's just do that. So instead of unassigned, I would just say student ID. Instead of 0, I would say GPA. I never got this, so I'm going to set that. Okay, let us say GPA should not be string. So it should be double. So this part is what's different, and this is absolutely important. Calling the base constructor. So let me just make one thing clear. Whatever the base constructor has, if the base constructor has all these parameters, then we should be able to use the same and let the base class deal with these parameters. We should not be messing them around in the student class. So that's the whole idea. We don't even have exposure to what is going on we don't have access to first name, last name. We get it automatically, but we don't get access to all of that. So let's test it and then it'll become a little more clear. Let us see what is available here. So we leave all of this as it is. Let's create student. So here I want to give that constructor that is taking these 3 names. So first name, that's what I'm doing for the second student. Third student, so I want to use this longer constructor. So this is social security number, student ID, GPA, okay. So let us see what else is available from this calling class for the student. We never wrote a single line of code for first name for the student, date of birth, last name, phone number, email address, nothing. We never did anything about those things, but we are getting them automatically. So that is the beauty of inheritance. So let us set his email. So even though I did not do anything, I did not write any code, because I inherit from the person class, I am able to get all of the properties and the methods. For example, I can say s3.intro. If we go into student class, there are no methods. Nothing is here. But I'm able to call the person method, this intro method from the person. I can call set address also. So let's do that. So from even though I am a student, I can access the set address and intro methods of a person. So let's put breakpoints everywhere and test this out. So phone number for student 3. So when you look at S3, so email is set, ID is set, phone number is set. So not only does this person get all of the features and methods defined for that particular class, but also the ones of the parent class. So set address, and when I call set address, let's see where it goes. It goes inside the person class because there is inheritance. So when I say intro, hello, my name is Jim Carrey. So all of this is freebie for us. We are getting that free of cost. We are not doing anything for it. So that is how inheritance works. Let me show you a little change. What if we want to change how this method works? Like for student, maybe we just don't want an intro. We want to do more. What if we want to override this method so that it does its own thing for a student? It does a little more than what this guy does. So if that is the case, if we want to override this method, you have to add a keyword called virtual in person.cs. The parent should say that this method is virtual. Then you go into the child. You can create that method. Let's just take all of this out. Override void intro. So when I put the parenthesis here, this code automatically popped in. It is saying, even though I'm overriding, it wants me to call the base intro. Once the base intro gets done, what I want to do is add my own thing in the student class. So I want to say I am a student of college name since the year. So here it will be school name. And then for the year, that will be the date of enrollment. So you have to remember this date of enrollment is actually a date time field. So there are a lot of methods that come with this. So we can say dot if you just want the year of enrollment. So you can say year. And that'll give you just the year instead of the whole date. So let us see how this works. So my expectation is it's going to call the base and say my name is Jim Carrey for that student. And then it is also going to say I am a student of this college since this place, this particular time. Okay, let's go into the program.cs. Let's set a couple more things here. Date of enrollment, right? So when you want to set the date of enrollment, you want to use a convert to date time. Use that method and then give a date here in string. So I can say since 2018, maybe this is a student since the spring semester of 2018. So date of enrollment is not a string field, but this is a string. So when you give a valid date and you want to convert it to date time, you would just say convert dot to date time. So let us see how this works. So here is my output. So I not only get this intro from the person class, but I'm also getting the intro from the student class. So now I'm getting 2 lines, not just 1 line, but 2 lines. So that is how we override a parent method inside the child class. So you have to use the override. Not only should you have the override in the student, but you should also have a virtual keyword in the parent. Okay, let's see what else can be done. So let's put one more